And welcome, everybody. Welcome to day 4 of this 5-day series that I'm doing for getting back to school. Whether you're a student, a parent, a coach, or an educator, the tips that I'm sharing could be really, really powerful. I was talking to a former educator the other day, and it's really they've come into my certification program, and it's been really interesting to hear all the challenges that are in schools today. Just incredible. um, and so we need to mitigate some of that. We're never going to change that we have stressors and pressures and challenges coming at us, but what I'm going to help you do is not overreact to those and protect yourself from stress hormones. Those are the nasty things that really mess up our ability to think, our ability to test well, our ability to show what our real potential is. Tonight, we're going to focus on words and the words that are thoughts in our head, as well as the words that we speak, and also reflect on words that are come back into us, come back from others to us. And sometimes it's people's words or even their tone of voice that can cause us to trigger the stress response. And just being aware of that can be such a differentiator in whether or not you have a really fantastic day or you're having a rather stressful day. And again, I like to start in that early morning period, noticing the thoughts that you have, the words that you have. A couple of sessions ago, I talked about the bookends of your day, and that when you first wake up and just going to sleep, those are really powerful times to put words of gratitude, words of confidence, words of love in those bookends of the day. You can create a little prayer or mantra, something that you want to say to yourself to help you start your day well and then sleep really well. And how you say that to yourself is important. So one of the things that I learned about, we have affirmations where you can say, I'm so grateful for the fact that da 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 da. That's the stem that I tend to use with my affirmations. Sometimes I'll say, I'm so happy and grateful, or I'm so elated and grateful. I learned that trick from the coach John Assaraf, who, if you watch The Secret, you would have seen John in there. I had the pleasure of having lunch with him in San Diego once, at my mentor's house. And I love that he incorporates that kind of a stem into thinking about an affirmation for yourself. So we're going to talk about affirmations tonight. We're going to talk about questions. And I'll give you a little system of tools that I use to really interrupt the stress response when it's about words, about thoughts. So affirmations, I'm so happy and grateful for the fact that, and then you get to state whatever you want to have happen in your life. What are your targets? So it could be, I'm so happy and grateful for the fact that I just got an A+ on my test. I'm so happy and grateful for the fact that class today was amazing. You get to put whatever you want in there. Our brain loves descriptive words, so go ahead and throw in either adjectives or adverbs to describe how you really want to experience that. You can state your affirmation using first person singular I. You can also state it using you. So you're so happy and grateful for the fact that da 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 da. And then you can also use your name. So when you use your name, your brain loves to hear your name. So in this case, I would say, Elle's so grateful and happy for the fact that da, 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 da. There's a wonderful little app that I use. It's called Think Up. Try to show it here on my phone for you. Um, so Think Up. It's a little app, and you get to record your affirmations in your voice, and it plays music underneath it, and then you just click and you listen. And I listen not every day, but quite a few days to my affirmations, and I change them up from time to time. But again, you can do it 3 ways: I, you, and your name. And it makes a different kind of impression on your brain when you use those 3 different pronouns, or your name, 2 different pronouns in your name. So that's a little bit about affirmations. Again, if you put those affirmations in the beginning of your day or near the end of your day, just before you're falling asleep, that can be really powerful for you. Uh, Questions. So if you analyze the questions that you ask yourself throughout your day, it may be very enlightening. Um, you may have you may say things in your mind like, why am I so stupid? Or why can't I get this? Or why can't I do this faster? Or why aren't I better at this? Questions that are in sending you into a negative dimension, that if your brain answered them, you're going to get all sorts of negative reasons why, if that makes sense. So, what I teach you is how to flip the switch on that and ask an empowering question. You may have heard me talk about flip the switch before. So, empowering questions start with a how can I, what can I, what might we do that can solve this easily? How can um, how can I finish this test really easily? How can I do really well on this test? So using a question, and again, you can use the question, how can I, how can you, and how can your name? So same thing as we did with our affirmations, you can use all three forms in order to get your brain thinking in certain ways that way. So really taking a look at how much of a question, how much of your question is moving you towards solution, or is it taking away from you? In fact, with all of this, I call that you're really discerning. We're never plateauing with our words. There's always some directionality to it. So is the direction going this way, or is the direction bringing us down? When people speak to you or talk to you about things, you'll probably very quickly notice if the energy is taking you where you want to go or taking you away. If you're receiving a really negative criticism that you don't think is really valid, that can be sending you down really fast and can easily cause you to trigger the stress response. So taking notice of the patterns of speech that is directed to you, there's not a whole lot we can do unless you want to have a clearing conversation and actually talk to the person who talks to you a certain way. Maybe you have a friend who's always telling crap to you, right? And you just either want to leave that friendship or get real with them and say, your words are really hurting me. They're not helping me, and I need to be around someone who's supporting me. Um, so being clear about what you really need. We need to see the words first. We need to see what's coming at us. Sometimes it's not words, it's the tone of voice. And so if you have someone, yelling at you or just in a adrenalized state, their voice will be higher pitched and the vocal cords will be tight. And so that may be triggering your stress response. And it may not be helpful to what you're trying to do. Um, this is going to be kind of an interesting one but I feel it coming up to share with you. Um, I rarely use the word proud with my children. Like, I'm so proud of you. Um, I came across this maybe 20 years ago when I realized that um, instead, here's what I say instead. So, I'm so thrilled for you. Like if one of my sons does something like they're so happy about the fact that they just did really well in a race or with a project with their company, I'll say, I'm so thrilled for you. I'm so happy for you. The word pride, when you say, I'm so proud of you, there's a little something in there that suggests that you might not have done it on your own, but I'm right here and I'm your mom and I helped you do it. It's very subtle, but I actually changed my languaging around that several years ago. With my clients as well, they know if I show up and I watch them in a concert or at an event, I'll say, I'm so happy for you. That was a fantastic performance. Wow, that was so great. Um, but I'm not taking any credit for it, if you can understand that little difference there. Um, so tone of voice, the words we use, one of the biggest things I see with parents is that the students that I coach, they will be very clear with me whether they feel that when their parents are watching them do something, whether that's a sporting event or a concert or any sort of performance or in class presentation and the parents come in, they tell me they really know if the parent thinks they can do well or doesn't think they can do well, is doubting their performance. If they're doubting it, there tends to be a tight face and the shoulders are up and there's a little bit of maybe even like leg jiggling or the legs bouncing if it's crossed, a little bit of crossing the legs. Um, maybe some, kind of there's a tight energy. If the parent the child feels like the parent totally thinks, okay, they know I've got this, I'm going to do fine. The parent's super relaxed, super chill. They're not anxious about their child's performance. It's super easy to become really enmeshed with our children, and overly enmeshed that how they do is a reflection on us. I've certainly felt that as a parent before. Pretty much everyone I talk to who's been a parent, it's very easy to have those kinds of feelings. But when you can really be supportive for your student, um, and to me, that means opening up the front of the body and having the whole front of the body be very soft. So the abs are soft, the voice is soft. There's complete trust. You're assuming success for your student, and there's complete trust that they're going to do fine. And whether they do fine or not, like whatever their performance is, in no way impacts your love and support and way you feel about your child. So, in other words, it's an unconditional support versus the conditional support or conditional love. And it's, again, the discernment on this is really subtle. It all falls in a continuum, and you can realize, oh, I'm kind of here. How do I move the needle over here a little more, or whichever way you want to go? And so I've noticed that, well, even once I had a client who was one of the best golfers in the state of Michigan, high school golfer. And when I went to their, I think it was regionals, I was at regionals. I wasn't at states, I was at regionals. They were doing great. The first three holes, fantastic. The fourth hole, all of a sudden there was trouble. And I was with the athletes' parents. All of us, our shoulders raised up and our faces got tight. And I was like, oh, we need to stop that. Like, so with the parents, I got us into an open, relaxed, the faces relaxed, so that if the student looked over, they saw that we were in complete trust for what they were accomplishing. No matter what had happened at the beginning of that hole, like we're in complete trust that they can recover. Lots more holes to go, right? And so, but I had to work on my abs, especially because I felt myself just tightening for the student because you could feel that they were getting more and more mired in frustration. I was like, no, 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 I need to represent that I trust that they will do fine. So if you can start to incorporate some of that, and if it's you yourself, start to assume success for yourself. If you're a student watching this, really start to assume success for yourself. The doubts will creep in. The doubts are sneaky, and you need to start to notice them. And I will smile and say, "Caught you." It's like, "Okay, I see you moving in here, but you're not going to be helpful to my performance right now. And I've done all this work to get to this point, and so now I get to be free. I get to share what I've learned. I get to share this moment, and I get to contribute versus try to compete, like we talked about. Was that last night? I think it was last night. Um, when I talked about competition versus contribution. So I think about someone like Simone Biles. There were so many other gymnasts who would have loved to have that moment when she couldn't compete. She got into the stress response so deeply that she had to bow out, which is pretty serious when you think about the level that she was competing at. And um, so that ability to not doubt ourselves and to interrupt the doubts before the stress hormones go out, because then the doubt is going to magnify. So that's really the key with all of this, that 10-second solution for you to interrupt the stress response, not release these hormones, and then you get to step into your full potential. You get to really shine and share who you are and what you do. So is my planner here? Of course, I've moved it somewhere else. Here it is. I actually built a planner, and I think it's on Amazon. Quarter one is on Amazon, but it's 365 days broken into 4 books because they're pretty thick. And I use my planner. Like there's writing in here. I've been using this since 2020 when I built it. Um, and the planner really is about words and the power of intention. So each day, I just opened this one up here and I have a little quote at the top. This one is from Wayne Dyer, and it's our lives are a sum total of the choices we have made. And then I do a little my own musing about the particular quote that I've included. And then I have some affirmations, and some of my clients record some of these affirmations for themselves. These were the affirmations that I wrote for this one. I said, I practice making small decisions that truly serve me. I notice the direction my decision will take me. I step into belief that I'm making wiser decisions. And then I ask you a question here, and I asked this one was, what small decisions could be helpful to you? Sometimes we try to take big leaps, but sometimes it's the smallest little change that gives us a new trajectory. It's like, what small choice, in this case, what word choice, what words are you currently saying to yourself that if you flipped those just the tiniest bit, that would change the trajectory, the change of your, would change the trajectory of your day, of what you're trying to achieve. I think of pressure free as every moment that we've made the choice to not release the hormones, like every moment we do that, we have changed our life in a completely different direction than where it would be headed had we not done that. Headed in terms of health, headed in terms of how we will talk to others and the tone of voice we'll have and the words we may choose. Do you ever say something to someone and you later regret it so much? It's like, oh my gosh, why did I even say that? Probably you were under the influence of these hormones. You weren't thinking clearly, and that's why we blurt things out. Um, so there's more to this planner, lots more. I talk about your targets, your actions, acknowledging what might stop you today. So many times, by the way, I write laziness. um, tend to not be a very lazy person, but believe me, that's like the one thing that I think will stop me sometimes is I kind of want to just chill out, or not chill out, but I don't know, do something different. Um, and then what's a pressure-free tool you can use today? Then the other page is about what's on your calendar that you really want to show up for, and what's a word that describes how you want to show up in that time block. So I have a couple of clients on here. I wrote their names, and then for one I wrote amazing, and for the other I wrote fabulous. I also have a little space for 10-minute actions. So if you have some to-do items you want to get off your list today, and then a place for assessment. So I built that planner, and it really is about the power of words. When I use my planner and I read the quote and I read the musing about it, like I forget that I've written this. I did 365 pages of this thing. So it's always kind of fresh for me to read one of these pages and to set my mind into a space that's elevated, that's taking me where I want to go. In any given moment of time, the words we're thinking, the words we're choosing to speak, they have a direction. Where do we want them to be going? And is it elevated or is it under the line? In fact, I think I'm going to pull up that chart. Let me see if I can find my, I think it's above the line. Above the line chart. Let me find it here. Do I have this chart? Oh, I do. Okay. Let me bring this up. I'm going to share my screen so we can talk about this for a moment because this is a very word-centric tool that I created. Let's see, we'll hit share, we'll hit that window and bring it up a little bit for you. Okay, so I call this staying above the line to stay pressure-free. So if you take a look at the words above the line, these may be words that that help you head toward the targets that you're aiming for. And then the words below the line, and lazy is in there, by the way, are words that when we use them on ourselves or someone says them to us or we find ourselves in behaviors that are like this can keep us totally locked in that stress cycle of hormone releases. So I want to focus on the bottom words for a moment. If you're aiming for something, like there's going to be a time period when we're amateur at something. You might be amateur at golf or amateur as a musician. I was an amateur. In fact, my violin teacher wouldn't let me take any money all the way through high school because there were certain competitions where you had to be amateur. You could not be a professional to enter. So then once I got that first paycheck, I'm now a professional. I'm moving into my professional way of becoming a musician. So if amateur and professional, there are days when I think I'm just working my business as an amateur. Like I'm not really being very professional here. And so I can catch myself, and that might be you too, noticing that you're just not either fully focused, fully invested, or just kind of, playing around here. How serious are you? Mediocre. Are you being mediocre about something? Like it's just you don't really care about it, where it might be something that's kind of important to your future. Lazy, messy. I really berate myself when I get too messy because visual clutter is a trigger for me. So if I don't keep things moderately clean, like actually pretty clean, then then I could easily go under the line. So messy, selfish, needy, bossy. You might bully people and you're like, oh, I can't believe I just said that. Being harsh or critical or picky. If you're spending a lot of time being judgmental, you're taking time away from yourself. Or if and by the way, if people are judgmental towards you, same thing. Unforgiving, that takes up time. If you feel you need to forgive someone for something, but you're just like so unforgiving about it. Unreliable, exhausting, late, reckless, cavalier, inflexible, sloppy, uncomplimentary. So these are just things you can look at and like, oh yeah, that one kind of hits on me. Like I've done that. I do it too much. Maybe you're picky about things. I can be super picky about things. And if I trigger, I'm really picky about things. Um, and now let's look at the words on top. So what words inspire you here? What are words up here that, yeah, that's how I want to be operating. Um, when more of the words that are above are how your operating system is working, and you're really starting to remove yourself from some of those words and behaviors underneath, that's when you're really stepping into your full potential. So I'm just going to go through them here, like professional. I was coaching a group of volleyball players once, and I had them sitting in the frame that I think I taught you on the very first night of going wide with your heart, get your butt back so you're on your hamstrings, and then turn your quads in so your hips are more open and grounded and strong. Lift up your head, and then get your feet so that the front half is down and you're lifting your heels a little bit, like you're in the frame. And I asked these girls, I go, how do you feel now? And one athlete raised her hand. She goes, I feel so professional. And I looked at them all, and they were ranging in age from 15 to 18. And I go, you all look professional. Like I would hire you because they were sitting in such a strong, open frame that they really looked very mature. Even they were all teenagers. Friendly. Do you wish you were more friendly? Are you sometimes kind of bitter? Collaborative, loving, kind, generous, decisive, willing, accomplished? Are you a leader? Are you aiming to inspire yourself to become more of a leader? Are you well-mannered? It was funny, I was on a call today and the person used a swear word. It's like very common today for people to casually use swear words. And that wasn't the case when I was a child. Like you would never be walking down the street and hear someone swear where I grew up. In fact, I never really knew swear words until I was in the fourth grade because my parents didn't use them. They just didn't. And so it's kind of interesting to think about what manners are for you and how you want to comport yourself. And you don't have to follow others. You don't have to feel peer pressure to act a certain way or talk a certain way. You get to choose. You get to choose what it means for you to be in public. And as a small child, like when we went downtown, I never wore pants. Like I was not allowed to own jeans until I think I was like a junior in high school. I was not allowed to wear them to school growing up when I was young. And we wore gloves and hats. Like I'm dating myself, but like if we went downtown, Concord, New Hampshire, we were dressed up. My mother never left the house to go downtown in in slacks. Like she always wore a skirt or a dress. Um, and so it's interesting how today, there's still some people who will always make sure that they dress a certain way when they leave the house. Or, people are in their pajamas at Walmart or wherever. Organized, playful, passionate, bold. Do you want to be more bold? Initiating, forgiving, patient, focused. You may look at some of these and say they're kind of not, if I'm patient, am I being bold? That'd be interesting to think about. Um, Courageous is one that comes up for me too. Compassionate for sure. Passionate is there, but also compassionate. Um, so staying about the line, by the way, if you want this PDF, just let me know. I can drop it to you in an email easily, or I can DM you too if you just want to DM me. Um, so this is words are powerful. I'm going to go off the share now. The words you use to talk about yourself. If you hear yourself saying words like, no, I'm just not very smart, or I can't do math, or wherever you catch yourself doing that, if you can pause for a moment and see if you can flip it around. If you're a parent or educator or coach, I encourage you to notice your tone of voice and notice how you're holding yourself in order to really share the best words for what your student needs in order to flourish. If you just ask yourself, will these words help my child flourish or not? Like it's a pretty interesting thing to consider and to notice. Um, and just making some small little changes could change enormous patterns for your child. When I work with adults, it's incredible for them to tell me the patterns that started when they were kids. And for some reason, it's coming up for me to share this, so I better. If you have a child or if you yourself, you wake up every morning and your stomach hurts a little, like you don't want to go to school or go to work, that's extremely common. And if you go to the physician, they'll often say, well, there's nothing wrong. It's just psychosomatic. Um, I'm here to say that there really is something wrong. If your stomach is hurting every morning, um, and you feel this kind of dread, like you don't really want to go to school or to work, what's happened is you've triggered those hormones. You've triggered the stress response, and it's affecting your digestive system. And that's why you feel nauseous, or that's why you feel like there's like a lead block in your body. Everybody feels it a little differently. And some people don't feel that at all. They have other symptoms of the stress response. But if you're feeling that one and you've been told there's nothing really wrong with you, I'm just here to say it's not that there's nothing wrong with you, but something has happened to you. And that's the release of these hormones. And when we can stop that and your belly can be free again, that's like miraculous. It's a beautiful thing. So I want all of my clients and everyone I work with and you to be a happy puppy, to, your stomach doesn't hurt. Your stomach is relaxed. You're wide and open. If you had a tail, it would be wagging right now because you're ready for the day. You're energized. You've had a great night's sleep. That can be a target for you. As you think about targets, triggers, tools, the 3 steps of pressure free, really writing out what your targets are. Like, what is really important to you? Why did you come on this call? If you've watched it to here, like, why are you watching this? Like, really write that down. Is it because you want to feel happier? Is it because you want to achieve something? Or you feel like if you don't change, you're just going in a real negative direction. Now's the chance. Like, now is your moment. When I'm working with my clients and we have that first call, I sometimes forget to tell them this, but I think in my heart, I go, oh my gosh, this is the first day of their pressure-free life. And that is such a gift. It's such a gift. So I wish a great pressure-free day, night, whenever you're watching this. If you're watching the replay, thanks so much. If you know someone who could benefit from upgrading the words that they think and hear about or say about themselves, or could help because other people are talking to them a certain way, feel free to share this out. You can grab a link, share it out privately. It could really help someone. And if you need more help, I'm always here. We can have a conversation and go deeper on all this for you. So I wish you a great pressure-free night, and I'll talk to you again. Tomorrow night will be our last night. day 5.